What's up, Closer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Closer Podcast. In case you don't know, now you know, I'm your host, Ryan Stewman. And, while you're here, it's real easy to go and just give me 5 stars review. I know every podcast host begs for that, and I'm not sure why. I'm just trying to fit in, all right? But really, what I want you to maybe consider is that you came here because you want to learn about sales. You're like, oh, Hardcore Closer, that's got to be some sales stuff. And while some episodes are, but I'm going to give you in like 30 seconds the ultimate sales advice, right? If you want to close sales and make a whole bunch of money, you want to get good at sales, you need 2 things. You need empathy and confidence. Nothing else matters. Where do you get empathy from? Listening to people. Where do you get confidence from? Product knowledge. It's that simple, right? But if you want to make FU money, right? Like real money, like hundreds of thousands, millions, hundreds of millions, whatever your aspiration is, you can be the best closer on the planet. But if you ain't got nobody to talk to, your family gonna be hungry. You're gonna have some skinny kids, dog. So what you gotta do is you gotta get good at generating leads, right? You could be a terrible salesperson and have a plethora of leads, and there is an ask for every seat. Eventually, you talk to enough people, somebody's going to buy your product, no matter how terrible you are with your words. You could stutter, flutter, and everything in between. And if you got enough people to talk to, and it works like this: the more hands you shake, the more money you make. So I want to help you shake some hands, all right? I want to help you get some leads because I want to help you feed your kids. I want to help you feed your pockets financially. I want to help you out. And the way to do that is by generating leads online, right? Not cold calling, not door knocking. I'm not saying those things don't work. We can argue about that later. I'm saying generating leads online, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and not sliding into people's DMs, not spamming people, jamming people, and all that other stuff. Just simply making an offer, presenting it to your audience, and those that are in your audience that want to take you up on that offer, simply giving your information, therefore converting themselves to a lead. You can do this with a product called phonesites.com. You can go to phonesites.com. You can try it for 2 weeks for free. You can go there. It will write the offer for you. You just punch in some words like Google, like I sell beer, and it'll write an offer. It's like, are you thirsty? Would you like something that will quench your thirst beyond your wildest imagination? Try beer, right? It's amazing, intelligent software that we have over there, and it'll make a web page for you and everything else. You post that shit on social media. It'll even tell you what to write on social media to get people from your audience to opt into the website. I know you're thinking, that sounds real complicated and way too smart for me. No, I've idiot-proofed it. You can go over there and try it, phonesites.com/closer, 2-week trial. Here's the best part. More hands you shake, the more money you make. You start shaking hands digitally online, you're not going to be able to keep up with the lead flow. That's how you build a team, ultimately build an organization and a company. So go to phonesites.com/closer. Did I do good on that? That's a good sales pitch, huh?
Man, that was damn good. I like
practiced a few times.
A few times. Yeah, I can tell that's, once or twice you've done that. That's real good. One take, Jay.
I was shooting for CNBC the other day. I don't know why they chose me, but I'm happy they did. Mm-hmm. And they shot this series on us, right? And these guys, they scheduled a whole afternoon to shoot footage, whatever, last Friday.
Retake and
all this stuff. We came in here and the guy goes, I never had to do this before, but I guess we're done. I feel like we should shoot some more, but we got it right on the first take. So I guess we're out of here, right? You didn't know how to handle themselves, right? I felt really good.
Well, you're really good at that, man. You're a good orator. You know how to enunciate your words, and I could use a couple of those big words that I don't know what they mean, but
meaning I just be saying them. The audience probably sends me messages all the time. Hey, it's cool. That email y'all message, they don't go to me anyway. Somebody else reads that shit. Hey, everybody. Today, I brought my friend from church with me. I met this gentleman at church. We'd known each other for a few years. We were actually in Pastor Keith's mastermind together, and now we do business together, and I invest in his project. So, Alvin Johnson, welcome to the show, man.
I'm also being mentored by you. I'm part of Apex.
Well, I mean, I don't want to think we were weird or nothing. You know what I'm saying? That we were that overlapped.
Oh, okay,
we are very, very entwined. But we met through Pastor Keith, man.
It's so funny. I was at church one day and I kept hearing Keith saying Ryan, and I'm like, Ryan, and who is this guy? And I had no idea. I was already in Apex. And really soon had just joined. Then I realized that that's Ryan Stewman. Ryan, and I'm not going to say what Danny says on here, but Ryan Stewman. Yeah. So, so good, man. So glad to be connected.
Yeah, man, Keith's been a great connector, and It's allowed us to go to some cool places together. We got to hang out in Colorado one time.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, but you know what's always intrigued me about knowing you is, man, you are a forward thinker in business. Like you're an outside of the box thinker in the projects that you work on. And shoot, even we ain't got to go in all the detail, but just so you know that I know even the way that you structure these things with your foundation and everything is actually brilliant, man. And so if you would, like just maybe give us a quick 2-3 minutes background about maybe where you grew up, how you got into the multifamily business.
So man, I am 50 something. I've been in real estate about almost 40 years. Right out of high school, I started painting houses, yada, yada, yada. And then I got really good at it. The guy went out of business, started knocking on doors, knocked on the right door, became a paint contractor overnight. That deal led me down the road of being a GC. From there, I owned some mortgage companies from about 96 to 2007. So through a couple of really bad cycles, I've owned mortgage companies and weathered that out. And 2008, I met a guy that owned 2,000 apartments. Well, 2007, I met him. 16,000 apartments, excuse me. And I went to volunteer for him in 2008. And so that opened my eyes to, other people's money and syndication and
sorry to interrupt,
partnerships.
but you were already successful, and then you went and volunteered your time to somebody who had more shit going on than you did, basically.
Yeah, I had to. That was the only way.
So many people won't even make that sacrifice. And it probably at the time it was a sacrifice, but probably not the end of the world sacrifice. So many people never make the ego won't let them volunteer or whatever. But
man, I lived in an 8,000 square foot house in DeSoto, Texas, a flat on 3 acres, my own wall around my place, almost Olympic sized pool. Beautiful home.
Where you living? Frost Farms over there?
I was living on Wintergreen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that big house on Wintergreen that faces the golf course.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I went from that to an extended stay when I went to volunteer.
Risked it all.
Just why not?
Yeah.
He had more than I had, and I knew where I was going in 2008, that the mortgage industry, the rudder was up out of the boat for me.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I got one last, here's my life jacket. I hounded. This guy met me in 2007. I called him every week for a year, and in 2008, he answered the phone and said, damn it, Alvin, I'm tired of you calling me. And come up here.
The answer, we could have done this a long time ago.
You know what I mean? But I didn't think about that one. I wasn't that quick on my feet, but it worked out. And a year later, after being there, he died, and I became the president of this, what today would be about a $2 billion company. And I walked it successfully through a Chapter 11 liquidating bankruptcy. So we restructured all the debt and then got rid of all the assets. And I was the only dude in the room that didn't go to one of those Ivy League colleges, because our partners in that deal were really big organizations, your Enterprises of America. And so here I am sitting around that table learning some of what not to do in financing deals, because I see what happened to him when he bought those deals. And then understanding how not to cross-collateralize all my assets, because if one goes down, guess what?
Yeah, they're all taking a piece of all of them with them.
Yeah.
You know, you can always look back at your story and connect some dots. And it's like, you know, where you're at now, running things, you had to learn the financing side, mortgages, right? You had to see some down cycles, so you learned some tough lessons, right? They are painful at the time, but now it's like, you know, but I got a little bit of a bulletproof shield around me for this time when they come to war against me, you know,
construction experience from when I thought I was just painting houses.
Exactly.
I use all of that today.
So you can see how you've gotten, and now you're at a point where all that wisdom, because that's what wisdom is, experience, right? All that experience becomes wisdom, to where you have some really innovative projects and stuff that you build with now, correct?
Yeah. And I saw this system about 25 years ago where this guy had built a wall for a house in a plant. And he said, we're going to take these walls out to the job site and stand this house up in a day. And I thought that was amazing.
Like modular housing type of stuff.
I said, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to have my own plant to do that. And so about 4 years ago, I had run the gamut of trying to buy apartments with the investor pool that I had. My investors were really spoiled. We were used to buying stuff at a 7, 8 cap, 9 cap. And when prices start doing this, those deals were out the window. So I had to get creative. And so how do you get noisy, or how do you get noticed in a noisy room? You got to be a little bit different.
Right.
And so my little bit of differentiation came from, I'm going to go build some houses, come back into the multifamily space with a bunch of money. But we developed that neighborhood in Greenville, got it sold and delivering lots right now as we speak. But that put me on a thought process that we could build apartments. So if I could build 300 houses in a year, I could build 300 apartments in a year.
Probably easier.
Easier. Yeah. And if I can do it one time, I can do it multiple times. So I started finding a system to do that. And I found this structurally insulated panel technique that is really efficient. The timing is about 2/3 quicker, which leads to better financing because we're saving a whole bunch of interest on interest carry.
Oh, yeah.
So the back end of that deal looks good. It's eco-friendly, so it checks all the bells and whistles for all the big-time investors that want to invest in ESG products. That's economic social governance, where we're trying to keep the planet a little bit better and make this place better for your kids that are coming up and my great-grandkids. So, and it gives investors an opportunity to make a whole lot more money, because if you can monetize the gap on the energy savings to the bottom line directly, man, your NOIs go through the roof, which makes your returns so much greater.
So you have and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but it's almost like you're 3D printing and then transferring to the actual job site these apartments, kind of, in a way, I guess, right?
Almost, because the 3D model that we get from the panel drawings look like that, and they're just disassembled, and then they go to the job site and literally glue and screw and shimmy together so that they're so airtight and glued that the structure integrity lets them withstand winds up to 200 mile an hour and all kind of stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
this isn't new technology. There was a guy by the name of Frank Wright that invented this back in 1941, and we found a picture of him standing up his first SIP panel house. HUD just approved this for agency financing in 2020. So It's taken 80 years to be recognized that, damn, the way we've been building houses with these nails halfway going through these wood and blowing off roofs and shit for the last 100 years may not be the best way to do it.
Yeah, especially when we have the means to do something else, you know?
Yeah.
But that's how government does it.
Yeah, well, we've always done it that way.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. We ain't got time for that. But anyway, that's really interesting. So there's...
But the biggest thing, Ryan, is the thought behind that, right? You said it, forward thinking. So how, for your audience, right? So how do we become different, again, in a crowded room of people, maybe even doing the same thing?
Right.
How did you become different in a space that is crowded, speakers and motivators and influencers? How are you different?
At first, I think it's because I cussed way before anybody, and now that's kind of normal, but back in the day it wasn't. But honestly, I think the way that I stand out is I just created more content than anybody else. You know, I didn't stand out until the last couple of years, but at this point, it's kind of, I'm a little bit everywhere, so it's hard to ignore, you know?
Right. Omnipresence because of the content.
Yep.
Love that.
But with you have something that, for an investor, and it just like thinking to myself, if you're able to build, like right now, to build an apartment complex, you got a deal with 200 units going on in Princeton, Texas here, that I put some money in, and that is a part of one of these projects. And if you were to build 200 units right now, it might take you, I don't know, it took me 6 weeks to get some damn windows from my house, bro. Yeah. And that's with the homie hookup. You know what I mean? Like, I got a buddy in the window business. You know what I mean? And it still took me 6 weeks. And so I got a broken window upstairs in my house right now. My kid threw a ball. You know how that shit goes, right? I didn't do it, man. I got a video in the room up there. You know what I mean? You want to take that back?
Wasn't me.
But anyway, so... like, he blamed it on his brother, and his brother's like, check the video, Dad, it ain't me. My little 5-year-old did it. But so it's hard to get windows. So you're talking about something that maybe, let's say, conservatively takes 4 years to build this out, right? With the way the supply chain, even if they get their shit back together, let's say 3 years to build this out, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I got a house that we're in the process of design. They're telling us it won't even be ready for 5 years. You know what I mean? And it's not even that big of a house, right? It's not no apartment complex, and so, or anywhere near that. And so, thinking as someone that's an investor, right? Carrying, you put your money in. And then in the multifamily world, for those of you that don't know, the big payout is like, yeah, you get monthly cash flow, but when they refinance this thing and pull the equity out, they typically pay you sometimes even more than your original investment back. And then you've got cash flow. So you get your money back typically within a couple of years, and then you've got cash flow coming too. Doesn't always work that way, but does. But if you're building something, it might take 4 or 5 years before the thing's even done to where they can start renting it out to where you can even start the process of getting your cash out. Whereas this, being able to assemble it, not have to wait on the supply chain because it's all coming from the majority of one factory, man, it really cuts down on that, which saves an investor a ton of time, gets their money quicker, right? Which means they make more money because they're able to leverage that money onto maybe the next deal or whatever. So that in itself is a brilliant concept that makes your stuff stand out, I think, anyway.
I think it is. My contractor is telling me from start to finish 24 months. We'll have the first building up and ready to be occupied in 8 months. But we've got to get the whole site plan, and as we go around the site, each individual building has to have a site plan approved. We've got to have landscape plans and all of that stuff for a section. So we technically won't be able to start leasing until about month number 16, but about month number 18 we'll be completely done. And then by month 24, the pool and finishes around the clubhouse and stuff will be done as well.
And you said that houses already exist with this technology currently?
40 years.
Yeah. Is this
Here
what you
in
guys
Dallas,
in Greenville? Are y'all using these type of houses there, or is that something different?
We sold those lots to LGI, so LGI.
They'll build their own stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah. But there's a house right here that I almost bought. It's on Midway, 6,000 square foot flat, Midway and really close to Loop 12. I didn't want to buy it because that's a busy, busy street.
Yes, it is.
But that guy's light bill in that house is $12 a month just to keep the utilities on. He's got a few kilowatts of solar on the roof, but literally with an insulated house that big, 6,000 feet, no light bill. During the Snowmageddon, he was the only one that had lights, man. He had a few solar panels and, just trucking along.
Wait, so these are green efficient and
Absolutely.
stuff as well. So it's not just being quick to be able to put these things together.
That's the biggest benefit, the near net zero. So
okay. So my mother-in-law, she's a real estate agent. That's her deal. Her name's Jan Green. So she's the green realtor. You know, your realtor's so gimmicky. I love you, Mom. But anyway, right?
Had to give Mom a plug.
But that's what she always does. She's like, she's the net zero, where they don't basically, in Arizona, that's a big deal there because they don't want to disrupt the desert ecosystem.
That's correct. And then if you can, not in Arizona, but if you can plant enough trees and pull the house off of the grid, you can literally have a positive impact to the environment because you're not polluting. And the only thing that you're extruding from the house is the waste through the sewer. So if you can plant enough trees to offset that with oxygen, then you literally, again, have a positive output to the plant.
Interesting, man. Interesting.
Yeah. So the product not only is
not a lot of that in
strong,
Texas, though.
This has been used up north for where it was in the guy Frank Wright was up in Minnesota.
Okay.
So it stayed up there, and they've been making pig farms, houses, all kind of stuff out of this forever. Just think about a refrigerator, insulation on the inside, and a really small motor on the back of it, right?
Right.
That refrigerator doesn't know if it's in the Sahara Desert or if it's in Antarctica.
Right.
When you open it, the water's 40 degrees and the ice is 31.
Yep.
That's the same way these panels work. Very little AC needed to keep them cool, very little heat, because they're so insulated in any climate. They don't know whether they're built on the Sahara Desert or in Antarctica. It doesn't matter. That's how efficient they are.
Man. And so where do you find, with this technology, where do you find the workers trained to put something like this together? That had to have been some sort of a challenge, huh?
It really wasn't. I took my guys that had never seen this to Arkansas, and we built a 1,400 square foot house in a day and a half.
Okay.
Dried in, complete. The way the plans are written and
1,400
drawn.
square foot home in a day and a half.
Two-story.
In a day.
Yeah.
And y'all walked up there and checked it out.
They
Y'all
had
jumped
never
around
seen
and
it.
everything. Really?
Yes. Yeah. Literally.
Really?
It's on Instagram.
No
We
shit.
recorded the whole thing.
Hey, what's your Instagram? I know they're going to want to see that.
Alvin Hope Johnson.
All right.
Yeah. It's
I'll
on
make
there.
sure to tag it in the notes of this too. But
So after seeing all the data, having an engineer's report that guarantees me that our light bill in Princeton, or utility bill, that includes lights, water, and anything to heat it, cool it, and to live
sewer,
there.
everything. Yep.
$558 a year
For the whole building.
per unit.
Per unit. Oh, for
That's $50
$50
a month.
a month.
That's lights, water, everything.
Yeah.
So when you see the data, then I went to Minnesota where I've seen the hotels that my contractors have built and bounced around in them, stayed in them, slept in them, talked to the owner, and he told me he had built 2 at the same time, stick built and built with SIPs 4 months sooner. On the SIP built, operations cost 28% versus 45%. He's running through the other one, turning lights off behind people, and in this one, it doesn't really matter.
And you're right, man. You know, nails and wood. I never really thought about it, but that does seem really archaic for 2022.
Well, think about something here. I'm going to give you a real archaic thought. If you walk through any house in DFW that's new that doesn't have the sheetrock or the insulation up, look at the outside walls and look at all the gaps of lighting that you see coming, right?
Yeah, because they don't fill it all with Tyvek.
What's Tyvek going to do?
Yeah.
Water's still going to get in there. Air's still going to get in there. Insulation's not going to cover it, not going to
Tyvek's
keep
like
the
a bow
bugs out.
on a present.
That's it.
Taking it out, throwing it out of the way.
And then we have water running in the outside walls.
Yeah.
So the next time it freezes, that PEX is going to do what?
Yeah.
They don't put water in outside walls up north. It makes a little more sense to not put them where they could freeze or run through the attic so they could flood your whole freaking house. We've been doing that for 1,000 years down south.
Yeah.
There's a new way of doing things.
You're
New way
right.
of doing things.
I got. I'm thinking about my house, my shower, my bathtub, and like all my toilets are on the outside
wall.
of the walls. Every
kitchen
fucking
sink.
one of them. Now that I think, my kitchen sink in my house in the
island.
in the island in the middle, but every bathroom I have, with the exception of upstairs, but even upstairs over the garage, one of them is like, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's easy.
You're right. But the thing is, you're a lifelong Texan, right? We have to admit that we don't think it's gonna freeze, though. We never think it's gonna freeze.
That's right.
We just like,
that's right.
That's part of being in Texas. Oh, man, it ain't gonna freeze, man. You know.
But it's part of the building science if you're thinking about heating and cooling your water.
Yeah.
Even that little bit of water running through a cold outside wall to get to the bathroom where you're gonna use it, you're wasting a whole bunch of water before it gets to you.
And your electricity to heat the water higher because it's got to travel versus be insulated.
All those little thought processes are being thought before we put these apartments on paper.
Wow.
And so as we're drawing them, we're looking at every room, every piece of efficiency. Not going to put hot water heaters in every unit. Why would we want to have to go back and change 400 hot water heaters?
Right.
Why don't you just put a couple of big tanks in every building and have a really efficient heating system that heats the water and sends it to every unit from there?
Yep.
So many things that cutting costs, spending a little bit more money on the front end, but for long-term ownership, we'll print more money by year 2 than a traditional owner.
Right.
Yeah.
And people will probably appreciate it. I mean, think you move
absolutely.
in somewhere. You know how people in America, they love to brag. You know what? Oh, man, my electricity. You know, it's like Tesla owners. You see their license plate, no gas, no shit. You know?
Well, our residents are just going to say, I don't even have a light bill. We just write a check for rent.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's still cheaper than yours.
That's right, because we don't have to add all those bills. We don't worry about the light bills going up in the summertime or the wintertime.
Oh, you worried about tornadoes? Not us.
That's
right.
right.
You worried about wind and hail damage? Not us.
That's right.
You worry about your lights going out? Not us.
That's right.
That's powerful, man.
And so we're building a brand of these, and every apartment is going to be Dreamville. So Dreamville on Monticello is Princeton. We got Dreamville in Anna. We got Dreamville in Kaukauna. And those are the 3 that we're working on to get started this year. A total of about 700 units.
And Kaukauna, Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said, where's the other one?
Anna, Texas.
Anna. Okay, so you got something going up there, too.
Yeah, 250 units will be ready by November.
With the same process?
Same process. Actually, the ones in Kaukauna and in Anna, we're incorporating CLT. So CLT is cross-laminated timber.
Okay.
They're building
a little bit of wood.
A lot of wood.
Okay.
They're building a 28-story skyscraper in Milwaukee right now with no concrete. All out of cross-laminated timber. It's stronger than concrete. It's more efficient than concrete. It's more energy efficient than concrete. Concrete's just a big rock. It soaks up water, air. You can touch it. It's hot. It's cold. Wood doesn't do that with the cross-lamination. So meaning that one of it runs this way, one of it runs this way, this way, and they literally cut the trees green and press them together, and as the wood dries out after it's glued and stuff together, it's become stronger than structural steel. It's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
And they're doing it right now in Milwaukee with a 28-story building. So the same manufacturer of that stuff is bringing those products into our building in Kaukauna and into Anna. Couldn't do it in Princeton because we were already started, But what we'll have there, typically your second story, you've got an 18-inch floor truss, right? In between first floor, you look up and then you got some space between the second floor.
Yep.
Our floors are just going to be about 8 inches, just cross-laminated timber. That's it. So we want a lot of wasted space gone. That's air-conditioned space. So when you talk about building science, the cost of these will be a little bit more because of the CLT, but the efficiency of this is going to be out of the roof. And we're going to be some of the first in the country doing this stuff because the deal in Princeton is the largest SIP community in America. The largest one to date is 64 units. We're doing 200 units. So,
wow. What's SIP stand for?
Structurally insulated panel.
Gotcha. Structurally. Yeah. So,
anybody want to look that up? Just
wood,
look at SIPs.org.
Thinking about the cross-laminated timber, and first of all, isn't it amazing? God gave us all this technology to stay green, to use natural resources. Right. We got to be like our generation, like the last maybe 400 years of people. Which, if you think about it, maybe we lived to 100 years. It's only like 4 people ago, right? You
That's
know
right.
I mean? Like
That's
it sounds like a long time. It's really like 4 people ago, you know. And so. Man, I feel like when you look at the pyramids or whatever, it's like maybe they had all this green net zero shit figured out, you know what I mean? And then our lost generation will call us stormed and screwed up. And I don't know the timeline or whatever, but I'm just saying I feel like we're finally starting to get maybe back. The aliens are like, man, maybe they can take this technology again and not fuck it up this time. They're giving it back to some of us, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like whoever that
Frank
Wright
real
guy
smart
is
guys,
or whatever,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
you think about a pyramid. Think about going inside of one of those tomb things. It's always cool.
Yep, and it's still efficient in the fucking desert. You know what I mean? That's like, there's a Joe Rogan skit. He's like, do you know anybody who's invented anything? Like, anybody? It's like, nobody in the audience raised their fucking hand. Like, they don't even know somebody who's invented something. He's like, we got to make sure those people are fucking or we are in trouble. He's like, what's in the mic? I don't know how this shit works, right? We got to find out where these people are.
No kidding.
You know? But I feel like these things being able to, the answers were there all along, and for some reason we really complicated stuff. It's like, turns out wood's stronger than steel. Like maybe the pyramid people knew that. I don't
somebody
know.
Knew something,
somebody had to have known it,
right? But
because you're not talking about something that's not. You're talking about lay it this way, lay it this way. It's not some alien.
There's no puzzle.
Unbelievably technology. You know what I mean?
I mean everything we use. Look at your basketball floors.
Yeah, cross
laminated wood. Mm-hmm. Just beautiful, strong.
Yep.
Yeah, so same deal, same thought process.
So how do if people want to know more about this project and maybe want to look at some of this or shit, maybe they want to talk to you or your manufacturer about doing this somewhere that they've got land or something like that, because I know you're going to nail this in the next couple of years, nail it and scale it. That's how it works.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you're one of the first ones. Like you said, you got the largest project, so this should be on the news, and it's only a matter of time. And you're smarter than I am in many ways, so you probably go, we already doing that, Ryan. But I know how you, with your structures and now being green and probably finding opportunity zones too. It's only a matter of time for your double, triple stacking the tax benefits and shit. Buying a Tesla with it, you get every tax benefit. Damn planet,
man, I found out. Now, this is not talking, we ain't soliciting money or any of that stuff, right? So I was visiting with, we operate a 501c3, and that C3 has the ability to have tax-exempt bonds issued for up to 100% financing for just about anything. So that's how we're doing our deal in Kaukauna. We got some TIF dollars from the city, 100% financing on the bonds, and poof, there it is. But my bond underwriter told me, he said, Alvin, if you've got investors that want to say part $2 million or $3 million in that deal that he's writing the bonds on, he could take that in as an equity investment from my partner and just say you want to charge 10 or 15% on your money. We don't care. I'll tell you why we don't care. But what happens is at stabilization, you get your money back because he wrote enough bonds on the front end to cover that.
Right. It's
just the lease-up risk that we are taking instead of the investors taking. For that, the investor gets their money back at stabilization plus whatever interest they charge, and it's all 100% tax-exempt because we use tax-exempt bonds to finance it.
Wow.
And it's backed by a performance bond with the contractor to build it. And so all these layers of protection, that $3 million is the last $3 million that we have to worry about in a $50 million deal. And then it's backed by the bonds, and so it's gonna hit stabilization at some point. So however long it sits there, a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the size of the project, that money comes back to the investor completely tax exempt. Meaning that all of the money that you charge me in interest is tax free.
Right. No capital gains, none of that personal income because you did it to a charitable organization.
That's correct. So there's so many ways we're figuring this out.
And to the no offense, but to the lay person listening to this.
Yeah, I'm a lay dude.
Well, they're going, probably it sounds like bullshit, right? Like, because they don't know. But the truth is how you get and stay rich in America is not hitting a home run. It's like, let's say Alvin's apartment project pays 10%. But then because you're not paying capital gains on it, which is 30 to 40%, right? Now all of a sudden, let's say you make $100,000 from Alvin. Typically, you'd make 60 of that, and you'd have 60 to reinvest. This time, you got damn near double your money at $100,000 to reinvest, and finding a similar thing like his. You can tie trust and everything else on. But what I'm saying, there's lots of cool ways that you can do this, but this is how you really get ahead. It's not oh man, I hit a 30% home run over here. It's I saved 10% off my taxes. You know what I mean? I got
I'll
save
$5 on a light bill over here.
Exactly. $5 on a light bill. My whole entire light bill for the year is $500.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all these little things. Then you've got the tax incentives, the green zones, all the other shit that you can get in. It starts to compound, and you look up, and it ends up being, and I'm just metaphorically speaking, not for Alvin stuff, since we are talking money here. You know how dangerous that shit is with the FTC, right?
Right.
Like, but it could be like 30% that you end up looking up to in the long run. But some of it's not all the ROI from the project. Some of it's the tax savings. Some of it's the time savings compared to something else. Some of it is a little bit here and there. All really does add up to one big compound effect.
And all that just comes through systems and technology and different process of building it.
So I know a gazillion people in the multifamily business, right? I know zero people doing a project like this. Now, I know people doing net zero projects, right?
Yep.
But nobody doing this material and putting them together, clearly, because you're the only guy. And I know zero people running it through a foundation like you're doing. I'm not saying that they're not out there, but
there are a lot of guys.
How did you come up with that? Where in your learning process did you come up with that?
The guy I volunteered with had 16,000 units under that umbrella.
That was one of those benefits.
Three jets, or a jet, a King Air, and a Piper, all because those were tools of the trade.
Gotcha.
The nonprofit, what makes a nonprofit a nonprofit? Alvin won't get rich.
Yeah.
All the money is used to perpetuate the mission of the nonprofit.
Yeah.
What's our mission? To provide safe, decent, sanitary housing, economically challenged and workforce communities of America. So that's everybody we're going to provide housing for of America. That means I got to get there. So that means I need a plane. I need a helicopter.
Yep.
I need all of these tools of the trade, and I'll just get paid a really nice salary for putting all this stuff together.
And you're right. And those are the benefits the government laid out. And,
That's it.
I own a foundation as well.
Right. So.
And I always tell people it's a fancy way for me to launder money to my other companies.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Legally. You know what I'm saying? Legally.
Right.
I just follow the paperwork, so that's all they do it. You know what I mean? We take donations here in the foundation, and we give scholarships to Break Free Academy. It's
That's it.
And they get the benefit of the tax write-off for donating to the foundation. We get the benefit of helping people that may not otherwise qualify financially to come in, but they're willing to do the work.
Yep.
And then my company still gets paid for the work that it has to do, and
That's how it works.
And a lot of people,
and the housing is the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our piece of our puzzle on the nonprofit side goes back into buying more deals and just perpetuating that mission. We do on some of our properties. We feed kids during the summer. We do backpack school supply drives for all the kids on all the properties. So it's just, and that's not just in the economically challenged community. So we're looking forward to doing this across the country with partners like y'all, man. How I'm gonna get to 20,000 units in 5 years? I need y'all.
Yep. And a lot of people don't understand. You said something that I wanted to touch on just real quick, just so that the folks understand the level of that it takes out there. Is in America, the rich people don't own shit anyway.
Just
you
stewards
said
of it.
you have this exactly. You say you have this nonprofit that it has to have these things, and the idea is a nonprofit, not for the owner to get rich.
Correct.
That's it. Doesn't mean nonprofit can't be rich. So my ex-father-in-law ran a nonprofit for 37 years. I won't say the name of it on this one. A lot of people know what it is. It's one of the biggest ones in existence. He left them with $700 million in cash in their bank account.
Well, think about the United Way. Everybody knows about them.
Yep.
And they strive off of donations.
Yep.
The only bad thing that came up about the United Way 15 years ago, that a lot of their directors were living on golf courses and private air strips, but all under a nonprofit. It wasn't bad.
Yep.
Wasn't illegal.
It's legal.
It just didn't look good because they were doing that all off of donations. Our 501c3, I think we've had one donation, and we've had one donation of property. We've generated all of our funds from doing the work.
And through the bonds.
Steve told me, Alvin, do not build a foundation based on donations. Because how you going? What if nobody wants to give?
Yeah.
So you go out and create value. So it's just like any other business. We create value, and our portion of our profits go back to perpetuate the mission of creating more value. And that's it.
You know, it's funny you say that. Like, I remember a couple years ago, people were mad at Bishop Jakes. It wasn't Bishop Jakes. It was the other guy that was talking about getting an airplane.
Creflo Dollar.
Yeah, Creflo. It's like, you don't understand. Those guys are like me. They're on the road preaching in church. They do the same thing I do, except for instead of working for a for-profit corporation like I do and cussing, they go do the Lord's work for a nonprofit corporation and don't cuss. But they got to have a jet to get them there on time, because those other churches, people don't understand this, but these other churches pay you for your time. I mean, he's a very famous pastor, no different than Cardone or Tony Robbins or anything else. So when he goes to another church, they're expecting outsiders to come listen to Creflo. Therefore, they pay him just like it's a seminar, anything else.
You can't get stuck in the airport.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, he may charge $25,000, he may charge $250,000. He's a very famous guy, you know. To put it in perspective, people have no problem paying me $75,000 2-3 times a month, right? So, you know, he's way more famous than I am, so I can only assume market value he's at least 100.
Yeah, at least
100. So for him to get a jet, first of all, in the nonprofit, the church to own it, it's an asset. If they need to sell it, they can sell it so they get money from it. Second of all, if he's getting that money, which is probably going back to the church, by the way, at least a portion of it, he's got to be able to get there. Right. And so I saw that, because I was like, man, I've been paid $25,000 before to go speak somewhere, and then American Airlines not fly me out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just be like, sorry, ruin a whole damn event for somebody, nothing I can do about it because it wasn't close enough to drive and get there. Jack shit I could do about it, you know? And I mean, I felt that. Give them their money back. It wasn't even that they wanted their money back. Yeah, it was like, man, shit, you know, we billed you as the headline guy. You didn't even show it. It wasn't my fault. You know, it's like, had I had my own transportation, thing would have been different, which is why I charged.
You working on that?
Right. Yes, I have a lease now, so a little bit easier. I'm still too scared to buy one myself. I don't know why, you know, but I was scared to buy this building, and now
I was just about to say you were scared
once I do
about
it once,
too.
Once I do it once. But I feel like I'm just on that. I feel like I have a really good deal set up, and it's like I only got to pay for what I need. So, you know, even if I'm paying a little bit more, at least I don't always have to pay it when I don't need it. So, you know,
that is a pretty good deal.
I feel like they're still get the tax benefit from when I'm using it. So, But so, yeah, a lot of people don't understand that, but the rich people don't necessarily own stuff. A lot of you hear trust fund, blah, blah, blah. They don't own that money. They're just in charge of that
beneficiaries.
money. Yep. And you following that, that's Rockefeller habits. And you following that through this process and everything else is very, very wise. So I would say, to kind of bring it all back together for the show, you selling your mansion, moving into the Holiday Inn or whatever the hell you said it was, and volunteering for Lord 16,000 doors turned out to give you a wealth of experience.
Oh yeah, I couldn't have paid for this. And sitting at those tables with those attorneys that went to Harvard, making $1,000 an hour, I couldn't have bought that education. So yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah.
It you know, sitting here, I can say that. You know, I could look back at all of the times where it wasn't great. I mean, thousands of times where it wasn't great. Yeah. Not just days, but
more not great than great. Always, right? The great just makes up for the not great.
It does. But each of those valleys, neither one of them has been as low as the last one, and the climb has been so worth it.
So people want to get plugged in. You're Alvin Hope Johnson on
sir.
Instagram. Is that the best place to reach you? Actually check those messages?
All of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to answer all of them.
And you got a hell of a following over there too, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know how much of it's real.
I think.
I don't know how much of it is real, but it's some numbers there.
I don't know how much of it's real either. You know, we about to find out, because Elon Musk got him subpoenaed to give that stuff last night. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, the judge signed a paper saying you got to disclose how many are bots. We about to find out. I think it's about 60% of the traffic on these sites.
Well, they tried to make him ante up the money. Well, here you go. Prove it.
Prove it. Yeah,
That's
they
right.
about to have to prove it. So this
Well,
could get interesting.
That will be interesting. But yeah, I got a pretty real consistent numbers following and
You really blew up on Clubhouse. Like when
That's what did
when
it.
the shit hit the fan, you was like, hey man, I'm leaning in on this, and you leaned in with Cardone, and you leaned in with some really big names over there that really blew you up on social media.
early adopter of that, man. It was just another perfect storm, right?
I remember watching it.
Yeah, and so now Grant will probably come to our event in September and just pull up, and so you ought to come, man. It's in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
good.
always here.
Good,
So-
good. 16th and 17th.
Okay.
I'll get you some
If
information.
I'm in town, I'll definitely be there.
You ain't got to buy no ticket. I got you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Get the church homie hookup. Make sure you
I
charge
don't know
Cardone.
about- I
though.
don't know about that church homie hookup.
Make sure you charge Cardone though. He can afford it. Hey, Alvin, I appreciate you
thank
coming
you,
on here,
man.
man. And like I said, if you guys want to talk to him, ask him questions. He's a friend of mine from church. He's not some like internet guru that I brought in here to woo you guys. And just so we're transparent, like you guys do business, this isn't something that Alvin's paying me a commission on. He's truly my friend. He's truly somebody that just happens to also be a member of Apex. That's not how we became friends, but I'm not here to raise money for him. I think he's got an amazing project that I have some of my dollars in. His checks have cashed every time he's written me one, and he's on the cutting edge of something big, and I decided that I wanted to be a part of it. Maybe you guys do too. So
Thank you, man. And I want to tell you, I know that your platform allows you to charge tens of thousands for people to sit in this seat. So thank you for inviting me to be here, man. That means a lot to me.
yeah, absolutely. Man, I ain't never charged nobody to sit there. I probably should do that sometime.
Man, I'm
though.
telling you, people to charge, they're paying 25 and 30 and 40 racks to sit in a seat like this.
Man, I've heard that. I have never.
I'm telling you.
Just so the audience knows, I have never. These are always people that I personally know that I've had in here, which
telling
is
you.
why there ain't been very many.
telling
Right.
you.
But I appreciate that. And with that being said, everybody, make sure you share this, give me that review, and we'll catch you next week. Rise
Come on,
above.
Dreamer.